Welcome into Drew's Daily Diamond for Tuesday, January 21st, 2025. I am Drew Martin breaking down the slate of games. We got 3 college basketball games on the docket: SEC, Big 12 Conference, Big 10 Conference, all coming your way, prime time and 9 o'clock Eastern hours. Let me know in the comments below where you agree, where you disagree, your picks for tonight, for this week. All is welcome in the comments below. I'll be in there chiming in as well. Smash that like button if you're liking the content. As we got first game up, 7 o'clock Eastern. Vanderbilt and Alabama as we're heading to the Coleman Coliseum in Tuscaloosa, Alabama. This one on SEC Network, 168.5 being the total. Alabama minus 11 or minus 12 point home favorites. Alabama 15-3 on the season, 7-1 at home. Nate Oates' squad, what do we know about them? They're going to score some points, man, and they look to run up the score at home, whether it be Auburn, Alabama. These Alabama schools like to win and win convincingly in front of their home fans. Might be to look to cash some tickets. Problem with laying this number with Alabama, last time they were laying this number at home, they were minus 12-point home favorites to Ole Miss at home, and they lost by double digits. That's what's making me pump the brakes a little bit. If you made me bet a side, I would be on Alabama. But instead, guys, I'm going to lay off of it because Vanderbilt, this is a pretty good Commodores team. 15-3 on the season, 12-6 against the spread, 67% winners against the books here at this point in the season in college basketball is something to pay attention to. They're also 2-1 on the road so far in a short sample size. They're off of their best win of the season, 1-point win over Tennessee. And one thing I took away from that, because it wouldn't be a letdown spot against Alabama. Instead, I'm looking at Vanderbilt's, who they've played in conference. And sure enough, it's like the slower paced teams in the SEC, meaning they have not played a team in the SEC that's a top 100 nationally ranked team in terms of getting up and down the floor. They tend to play slower basketball, Vanderbilt's opponents in conference. Now they're going up against the fastest tempo team in the country in Alabama. Alabama is number 1 in terms of possessions in all of college basketball here. They've overtaken Cal Poly as that number 1 ranking, and you combine that with a top 5 offensive efficiency team, you're going to get a bunch of points here. I mean, they've gone 14 straight games with 74-plus possessions. There's teams in college basketball that haven't gone 74-plus possessions in any game yet this season. Alabama also just scored 102 points on the road against Kentucky, a game I watched. Man, they couldn't miss. They look really, really good offensively. I mean, their weakness probably on the defensive side. This is a team that scored 80-plus points in 13 of their last 14 games. They scored 100-plus points in 3 of their last 6. Pretty much half of the games in 2025 have gone over 100 total points for Alabama alone, guys. I know 168.5 is a lot. I think Alabama flirts with 100 again here, guys. I don't know, 95, 85, something like that. This is getting into the 170s. 168.5. We're going with a high total, and we're going over Vanderbilt and Alabama to tip us off Tuesday night. We're heading to the Big 12 up next, also 7 o'clock Eastern. ESPNU, Fifth Third Arena, Cincinnati, Ohio. It's Texas Tech and Cincinnati. 134 being the total. Texas Tech, the Red Raiders, -1 to as high as -2 point road favorites. Of course, Texas Tech coming in 13-4, 4-2 in conference, 3-0 on the road. But the Bearcats in the Queen City, they've been tough here at home. 80% wins over 10 games when playing at home. They're 12-5 overall. The thing to take away from Cincinnati is they played 17 games. 15 of them have finished under the closing total. They're 2-15 under trenders here. 9 straight at home, falling under 140 points. So this team playing good defense overall, lockdown defense at home. Their last 2 home games, they played Kansas and Arizona State. Look at these final scores. 54-40 in a loss to Kansas. That's 94 total points in the game. They also beat Arizona State 67-60. That's only 127. So not a lot of points when Cincinnati's at home. They play slow. They play one of the best defenses, top 10 defensive efficiency team in the country, one of the best 3-point defenses in the country, meaning how you guard the 3-point line, that tends to carry over. I think Texas Tech is going to have a little bit of an issue here, particularly shooting from beyond the arc. And sure enough, you look at the Red Raiders, what have you done for me recently is a great thing to look at in sports betting, in my opinion. And Texas Tech at the same time, their last two games, 61-57 against Kansas State and 70-54 against Arizona. That's 124 and 118 is the total points there. Neither team fouls a lot. Neither team goes up tempo. I know 134 isn't a high total, guys, but I don't think we get to the 130s. I mean, I think this finishes, 62, 58, something like that. I go under here, guys. 134, Texas Tech and Cincinnati in the second game up. We're going with a low score under 134. Got one game left, and it's going to be the best bet for the show here, guys. But a reminder, if you could comment below, it helps out the algorithm. Anything is welcome. I'll be in there chiming in. Feel free to throw any questions out there, what your picks are for Tuesday. And a reminder, it is $5 Tuesday, WagerTalk.com. All plays discounted to just $5. I got a college basketball big bet going tonight in a game we're not talking about. Normally $25. Tonight, just $5. So check that out off the 5% winner. Drew Martin Experts page, WagerTalk.com. All right, we got last game up, best bet for the show, the nightcap for the show, Big Ten Network, 9 o'clock Eastern, Carver, Hawkeye Arena, Iowa City, Iowa for Minnesota and Iowa. We are seeing the Hawkeyes minus 8-point home favorites, 150 being the total. Minnesota comes in 500 on the season, just 4-14 against the spread. Golden Gophers have been burning some cash. They're also 0-for on the road, have not won a road game yet. Losses on the road by an average of 15-plus points. So for whatever reason, when they leave Minneapolis, this team has struggled. Iowa, 12-6 on the season, 3-4 in conference. Not the greatest start for Iowa. We actually talked about them last week and took the loss, but it was a tough road trip for them. 0-2 against the LA schools in the Big Ten. We've talked about it, this travel from, in football and now in basketball. Teams are struggling going out to the West Coast. Same thing's West Coast the other way in the Big Ten with this expansion. It's something to pay attention to. But now Iowa back at home. They're 10-1 at home. They're only lost to Iowa State in a competitive matchup, by the way. What do we know about Fran McCaffrey's squad? They're not going to turn the ball over much. They play, disciplined, well-coached basketball. They're usually really good at scoring. Their top scorer, Peyton Sanford, he was a little bit banged up. He should be back for this one, from what I'm reading from the beat writers here. He's going to give it a go, so that should be a plus offensively for Iowa. A couple stats here. Iowa 6-0 the last 6 against Minnesota. They've had their number, and Minnesota has not won in Iowa City in 10 years. So for whatever reason, they don't make this trip very well. And lastly, guys, and most importantly here, the matchup handicap of this. Minnesota's coming off of their best win of the season, maybe in multiple years. They beat Michigan in OT. It was a game where they forced 9 turnovers against the Wolverines, and that's exactly where Michigan struggles, turning the ball over, their guard play. And looking at the matchup, taking that where they excelled, Minnesota, to this matchup, they're not going to be able to turn Iowa over like that. Iowa's a top 5 team nationally in terms of offensive turnovers. They don't turn the ball over. So I don't think Minnesota's going to get those extra possessions. Iowa being at home here, I think they win by double digits, guys. Best bet for the show is the Hawkeyes, -8 over Minnesota. So that's going to do it for the show. Iowa -8. In recap, we got Cincinnati, Texas Tech under 134, and Vanderbilt, Alabama, the high-scoring matchup, 168.5. This one gets into the 170s. So, guys, starting off there with Vandy, Alabama, ending it with Minnesota and Iowa. That's going to do it for the Tuesday show. $5 Tuesday, WagerTalk.com. We'll be back on Wednesday. More college basketball coming your way right here on the WagerTalk YouTube channel. Smash that like button, comment below. Cash those tickets. Thanks for tuning in. Enjoy the rest of your Tuesday. We'll talk tomorrow.